All right, it is Monday, and you know what that means, a whole new slate of European football. Tonight, we are going to do a super quick briefing on the top predictions you need to be aware of, all the way from the Premier League to Portugal. So let's just dive right in. Here's the deal. We're looking at 5 key matches across the continent tonight. For every single one, we'll break down what the data says and give you the final prediction. First up, we're headed to England. So let's kick things off in England's Premier League. There's only one game on the schedule for tonight, and honestly, it is shaping up to be a really fascinating fight. That match is Everton taking on West Ham. Now, just looking at it, this seems like your classic mid-table toss-up, right? Both teams are kind of hovering in that lower half of the table. Let's see if the numbers tell the same story. And you can see just how tight this thing is. I mean, there are only 2 points separating these clubs. On paper, they look incredibly evenly matched. But that's where the on-paper story ends, because the real story is about who's actually fit to play. Okay, and this is where it gets really interesting. Everton is in a tough spot, hampered by injuries to some key guys in their defense. West Ham, on the other hand, is coming in with a full squad, a new manager who's trying to make his mark, and their most dangerous attacker, Jared Bowen, is ready to go. That is a huge advantage. So, with Everton's defense looking a bit shaky and West Ham's attack basically at full power, the prediction here isn't actually about who's going to win. It's about goals. The final call is for over 1.5 goals in the match. Next up, let's head over to Spain. We've got action in 2 different divisions tonight, and we're going to start at the very top, in La Liga. Our first stop is a match between Valencia and Real Oviedo. And, just based on the league table, this one looks like it could be a serious mismatch. And wow, yeah, that gap is pretty stark. Valencia is sitting pretty comfortably in the middle of the table, while Real Oviedo is already stuck in a relegation battle with just 3 points. And believe me, their problems do not stop there. On top of their terrible form, Real Oviedo is dealing with a major injury crisis. They're missing 4 key players. Now you compare that to Valencia, who are at full strength, it's just a huge mismatch in terms of who's available. So, with the home advantage and a totally full-strength squad playing against a struggling injury-plagued opponent, the prediction is a very confident 2-0 victory for Valencia. All right, let's stay in Spain, but drop down a division to the Segunda. Here we've got Leganes versus Castellon. So, what's the story in this battle? Well, taking a look at the table, we see a pretty similar story, right? The home side, Leganes, has a comfortable points advantage over Castellon. But the key factor here, it isn't actually the league position. And here is the crucial difference from that last match we just talked about. Both teams are at full strength. With no major injuries to worry about, this prediction really just comes down to who's in better form and, of course, that home field advantage. And are you noticing a theme here? The call is for another 2-0 home victory, this time for Leganes, who are heavily favored to take all 3 points. All right, for our final 2 predictions of the night, we're going to head to Italy and Portugal for a couple of really key matchups. First stop, Italy's Serie A for Parma versus Torino. Now, these teams are pretty close in the standings, so the big question is this going to be a really tight affair? And, well, what do you know? Injuries look like they're going to be the deciding factor once again. Parma is missing 2 players, while Torino has a full squad available, plus their in-form striker, Duvan Zapata. That gives them a really clear edge, even playing on the road. But here's the interesting thing. Despite Torino's attacking advantage, the prediction isn't for some kind of blowout. The call is actually for under 3.5 goals, which suggests a really tight tactical game where maybe 1 goal could be enough to decide it. And finally, we're off to Portugal for Arouca versus Porto. I mean, this one has all the makings of a classic David versus Goliath clash. The question is, can the giant be stopped? Now, Porto might be the giant in this matchup, but they're not coming in without their own problems. They're actually walking into this game with a pretty significant list of injuries. So the question becomes, do they still have enough quality with veterans like Pepe in the squad to get the job done? And the source is definitely banking on that quality shining through. The final prediction is a professional 2-0 win for Porto. They're expected to just handle their business on the road, even if they don't have a full squad. So, after a quick tour of 4 different countries, here is your final takeaway, the whole briefing in one easy glance. So there you have it. The theme of the night seems pretty clear, right? A lot of strong 2-0 victories for the home favorites in Spain and for the powerhouse in Portugal. The other key predictions are pointing to goals over in England and a tight tactical battle in Italy. That is your full Monday briefing. So the analysis is in, the data has been crunched, and all the predictions are set. But as every single fan knows, the numbers only tell part of the story. The real question is, will the pitch tell a different one tonight?